Honorable, let me say big congratulations to you for making sure coaches of the national team have been paid their outstanding salaries. Congratulations for delivering that promise.
Well, the congratulations should go to His Excellency the President, without whom we would not have done this. So he's the one who offers the leadership and the direction and the trust that if you have a contract with people as a nation, you must be honorable enough to keep it. It is undignifying to contract people and for them to work, whether they actually succeeded in your thinking or not. You have a contract with them, they stopped everything they were doing, dedicated their time to doing what it is you ask them to do. And so if it is time for you to honor your side of the contract, you would have to do so. So if there is any congratulations, I think the rightful person to be congratulated is His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, for the leadership and the support that he has given various sectors so far.
Thank you very much, Honorable. And Honorable, post the death of the Nigerian boxer Gabriel Oluwasegun Olarinwaju, you set up a committee to look into matters surrounding his death. And the committee has since presented its report. The Sports and Recreation Ministry has since issued a statement stating that they have accepted the findings and recommendations of the committee. Now, the pressing issue at the moment has had to do with the repatriation of the body of the late Nigerian back to the Nigerians for a proper burial. As we speak, the body is still sitting in Ghana. I don't know what updates have been given you, but why are we at the stage where we are still holding on to the Nigerian's body? And what are some of the challenges that have resulted in us not sending the body back to Nigeria this quickly?
Well, first and foremost, it must be established clearly that the committee's work had nothing to do with evacuation of the body.
Okay.
The ministry nor the committee did not stop anybody from sending the body out. There are processes you need to go through in evacuating a body to wherever you want it to go. One, there must be an autopsy report where the death comes under the Corona Act, falls under a Corona Act, where the person died less than 24 hours after arrival in a hospital facility. The Corona Act kicks in. So the coroner must sign also a report that must equally be available. The country receiving the body must issue a permit to receive the body first. You don't just pick a body and then carry it because the person is a national of that country. If a Ghanaian, I don't wish any Ghanaian dying, should die anywhere outside of Ghana, before the body is airlifted or moved to Ghana, the Ghanaian authority must issue the appropriate permission for that to be done. The country from which the body is moving must also issue some documentation. The coroner report actually delayed the submission of the committee's report to me as the minister, because while they are done with their report, the coroner report was not ready, has not been signed by a court of competent jurisdiction. It took a lot of follow-up by the committee to get this report, and that reflected in the presentation by the chairman of the committee, and even commended the medical officer who saw to that and personally drove to a court that is called Bese Circuit Court to get the report signed in order for it to become a tenable report. What the Ghana Boxing Authority president have informed me is that he had liaised with his counterpart in Nigeria, who must submit to them a permission from the Nigerian authority allowing the whether you call it export or import or whatever term is appropriate of the body to Nigeria. And once they get that documentation, then they can because they have already contracted someone who is doing everything preparing the body, getting the casket, and all the necessary permits from our side. They requested for the original of the autopsy report, which was submitted to the committee, a report which I have already directed be made available to the Ghana Boxing Authority to enable them conclude their aspects here. But however, the Ghana Boxing Authority cannot be responsible for the issuance of the necessary documents from Nigeria. That is the responsibility of the GBA's counterpart in Nigeria. They must do so and submit same to the Ghana Boxing Authority so they can bring closure to this matter and be able to export the body appropriately.
Honorable, we just had a conversation with the president of the Ghana Boxing Authority, and he has claimed that he hasn't received the necessary support to help facilitate the acquisition of the documents that the Nigerians will require to even issue us the document for the body to be brought into their country. And again, he has also alleged that a budget has been sent to the sports ministry regarding somebody who would facilitate the repatriation of the body within a very short time, a budget of around 37,000, but he hasn't received anything.
Listen, the ministry is not responsible for evacuating the body.
Okay.
The ministry is not a party to the contract or whatever the GBA did with their Nigerian counterparts for the boxer. The ministry only went into the matter to make sure that as policymakers, we will insist on the right thing being done. The ministry can only help. The ministry is not responsible whatsoever for any arrangement to send the body, because we were not a party to the arrangement of the boxing event. We have only investigated because their activity have resulted in the death of a boxer who was fighting in our country. And as policymakers, we have a responsibility to go into it and to find out whether they followed the standard operating practices, whether they took every processes to secure the boxers and every other person that was an event. If they didn't, what are the measures that we must put in place? It is, if the GBA thinks that the ministry is the one responsible, no. The GBA is responsible for everything. If they have any challenge, like he got to me about the autopsy report in which I have directed, that will be done.
In terms of financial support?
The fees and the monies that they collect and raise, do they bring it to the ministry? Oh. No.
But, Honorable, they say they are cash-strapped. They don't have money, and they would need the ministry to support them to...
Well, he hasn't told me that. I have had engagement, series of engagement. What he has showed me was that they were going to evacuate the body latest Friday last week. So when it was getting to Friday, now he got to me, and the challenge he made me aware was that his Nigerian counterpart has not gotten back to him as far as documentation is concerned. He hasn't told me about being cash-strapped. That they have not told me. I was interested. I asked them about the purse of the boxer. They said it was ready. They also told me they had prepared money that they were going to donate as a way of support. The amount they mentioned I thought was respectable enough. It did not indicate to me that they have no money to do what is expected of them. The ministry has its own plans, and that is just supporting. And the GBA cannot rely on the ministry to do what they must do.
Honorable.
That is the communication he's putting out there. Then that is absolutely wrong.
Very well, Honorable. Honorable, at this point, the Nigerians are waiting for the body. It seems it has delayed a bit. Are you going to get onto the heels of the GBA to make sure they expedite action quickly to make sure the body goes back to the Nigerians?
I have been on their heels. And the last report he gave me was that they were ready, but they were waiting for their Nigerian counterpart. I have since not reached him to find out whether the Nigerian counterpart have responded to the need. So I thought that, considering the fact that the Nigerians were demanding and requesting for a faster process to bring the boxer's body back home, they will also act quickly if the consideration he told me had reached his counterpart in Nigeria. So all he told me was outstanding was the indication from Nigeria that they are ready to receive the body, and they will then fly the body in. The only reason they couldn't do that by Friday was because of the documentation from Nigeria. But if the Nigerian Boxing Authority is having some challenge, then maybe I'll take it up through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with the Nigerian High Commissioner in Ghana, who has been very, very cooperative. He has cooperated very well so far. He has visited my office about 3 times in relation to this matter. He started conversation with my officers all this while. So if the Nigerian Boxing Authority is having some challenge, maybe we would work through the High Commission to secure the appropriate permits in order to be able to evacuate the body.
Right, Honorable. The committee you set up to look into the death of the boxer, the report is out. And the GBA boss says he has seen snippets of what is in the report. And he feels that the committee was set out to witch hunt, embark on a bit of witch hunting around the GBA, but not to deal with the real issues concerning boxing. What do you make of some of these comments that are coming from the president of the GBA?
Well, the report I have read, I haven't seen any witch hunting in it. The report was very clear. It looks at what must be done and what was done. And it laid the issues out as they should be. Issues that we will look at implementing, and issues we are going to implement to make boxing safer and better going into the future. I have not seen any witch hunting attempt there. They may have their own politics within the boxing ecosystem, but then I am not interested in that. What I'm interested in is to have a boxing authority that runs issues professionally and have standard operating practices that are acceptable, and that will make sure that everybody is safe and secured in practicing that sport. Nothing beyond this. I'm not interested in who is the president of GBA, who is not, and who is what. It's not my interest. My interest is to have a sport that grows, a sport that secures everybody. I'm not interested in the internal politics of the Ghana Boxing Authority. Please take me out of those conversations, and let's focus on what we develop our boxing.
Right. Honorable, away from boxing, I know you were in London to watch the Black Stars play in the Unity Cup. What do you make of the performance of the Stars, and are you impressed with what you've seen so far ever since you became sports minister? And based on the performances of the team, are you impressed with what you are seeing?
I think we are all impressed with the levels of improvement that we've seen from our national team. I'm very impressed with the commitment both before and this Unity Cup. The Unity Cup, this tournament gave the technical team opportunity to introduce some other young players that we have not introduced before. We saw the performances of some of them, very, very good performance. The first half of our first game was not the best, but we all saw that in the second half, we really took it to the Nigerians, and they themselves, though they won that day, they could not celebrate. They knew the Black Stars did the best of football. They just that the first half was bad, because that was the first time many of the players were actually featuring for the Black Stars. The goalkeeper too had a bad day. The goalkeeper too had really a bad day in our first game. But the second game, you saw the spectacular performance that was put out by the team. And so, from the technical angle, I think we have achieved so much. However, if you want to look at the politics of the sport about Ghana, Nigeria, then you say we lost to Nigeria, and therefore we are not too happy about the fact that we lost to Nigeria and we didn't play the finals. But of course, we all had 2 games to play, but from the technical angle, I would say that it's been a great tournament for the team and the country, and we should be happy about it.
Right, Honorable, before you go, in your absence, there was a game involving Basake Holy Stars and Nations FC over the weekend, a game that once again had glimpses of or had elements of hooliganism at the match venue. Have you been briefed on developments at the match venue over the weekend in Izima? And what are your thoughts on what has happened in the Ghana Premier League getting to the end of the season?
I have been informed about the unfortunate incident, but I have not received the full briefing of what went in and what didn't go in. However, investigations are ongoing. It's quite unfortunate that we'll continue to have such situations. What I have seen and know we must do is to have proper education of one. Club owners, club management need serious education even before the fans. Our club owners seems not to be up to the task. Some of them, not all, some of them seems not to be up to the task beyond just owning the clubs. They seems not to be up to the task. Some management of some clubs clearly seem not to understand. They are so clueless about what football is all about. We need really to spend some time in dealing with this category of persons also, even before we go to the fans. Then the officiating officials and badge commissioners, referees and their assistants must also have their part. And people must be punished when they are found to have done something wrong, irrespective of their status in the country or political affiliation or whatever. We must have the strength and tenacity to punish people when they go wrong. That is the only way that as a country, Ghana, that have a lot of love for football, we will benefit from it. But if we allow things to continue this way, you will have 90% of your football-loving people focus on the European leagues and other leagues other than your own league. But that is not why some of us are there. And so I'm waiting for the final report, but we will go into all these matters. And we think that our club owners, our club management need serious education, and we must pay some particular attention on those 2 bits. Of course, also the officiating officials must also be factored in, and where they intentionally involve themselves in acts that are unacceptable, they must be punished, and punished very well and severely.
Honorable, thank you very much for your time on the Sporty Breakfast this morning. We wish you well in all your endeavors, and hopefully we'll have you in studio one of these days.
Well, let's pray for that time and we will engage more. But what is most important for me, my brother, is what we can all do to grow our sports.
Yeah.
I personally hate this politicization. I'm not talking about even the NDC MPP politicization. The internal sports politicization because people are desirous of leadership or desirous of one thing or the other. They do anything and care less about how they are destroying the very thing they want to lead. You cannot destroy what you want to benefit from. You cannot be working to destroy what it is that you yourself set out to help you do one thing or the other. It is wrong, and we must all speak to that. That is the only way we can grow our sports. That is the only way you can have people from other nations becoming interested in Ghana's league. But if you don't do that, our people will continue to be interested in other leagues, including even going to watch Ivorian League instead of following the Ghana League.